Welcome to Get Set, an old girls entertainment podcast where we talk set life and stories as three women in the TV and film industry. Today, we have a very special guest, one of my good friends. She is a SAG-AFTRA actor, a producer, and an overall pretty kick-ass human being, Monique Schwaneman.
Thank you. Love you.
Also a co-host on this show. We're going to be talking to Monique today about her life as an actor in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Man, it's just a lot. It's so funny because, we were just talking about this before, but I was going over like the notes for the show and things I would say, and before going over it, I'm like, I don't know, like, do I have all the experience? No. Do I, but I was pouring over these notes. I'm like, oh wow, no, I've been doing this for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I've been union for probably 7 of those 10 years. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I have learned a lot of things.
Yeah, you're so knowledgeable. We've bonded over the acting and the performing aspect, and you've taught me so much. It's like whenever I'm like, oh, I have a little audition or I'm doing this new class or whatever, I'm like, Monique, I was like, help me. I'm like, what am I doing? And if it's okay. So,
oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, no,
I absolutely love it.
You're my acting advice column for sure. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Like, yes. how you got started as an actor. What interested you in acting?
Oh man, yeah. So if you haven't listened to our first intro podcast episode, I would recommend going back. I'm not going to repeat too much, but I, started performing when I was little in elementary school, and I did plays in middle school. And then in high school, I did a bunch of other activities to be well-rounded. And this theme is pretty common in my life where people are like, oh, you're taking on too much. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be able to handle band and water polo and a play. So you got called back for the play, but you got to cancel your other activities. And I'm like, no, the scheduling's fine. It's not going to be too much. But yeah, I was, actually didn't do a lot of it in high school because I was already committed to a bunch of activities and I didn't want to quit those. And it's so funny how things work out, because if I hadn't have done water polo in high school, I wouldn't have gotten my lifeguarding job, which means I wouldn't have met my husband. And, so things happen and they transpire as they're supposed to. I was super green going into college, mm-hmm. because I wasn't consistently getting that training. I just knew acting is what I wanted to do. And actually I wanted to go into musical theater because I had dance experience from high school. And I had been in choir since I was like 10 years old. And I toured in London when I was like 10, 11 with my school choir. And so I was very active in that. So I was like, oh yeah, musical theater, I get to do all 3.
Yeah.
And then I went to college and I was on the musical theater BFA track, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I can't read music. I'm getting a C in music theory because I can't play a fucking recorder. And it was hard. I was keeping up dance wise, but I definitely wasn't keeping up vocally.
Yeah.
Especially with like reading music and stuff like that. I wasn't the best tap dancer. I could do ballet and jazz, but tap was just like a no-go.
Tap is so hard. Tap dancing is so hard.
Yeah. So I didn't make the musical theater track, and they were like, I think you should stick with, the acting track, because you're a great actor. We're just, there are people, vocally who are stronger than you. Mm-hmm. And so then I went into straight acting, and it was just, again, things happen as they're supposed to. It was the best decision for me. I got into the BFA program, and once I graduated, like we talked about in episode 1, I really just hit the ground running. My profiles on Actors Access and LA Casting, which is now Casting Networks, and Casting Frontier, those were all set up already. I had already booked a few non-union things. I had already booked a few like student films and stuff. So I really, and I'm from Hollywood, so mm-hmm. that really helps. Super privileged in that regard, that I just was able to move back in with my parents, and they live in my market. And I was, mm-hmm. It wasn't a huge transition other than going from being in college and having your own freedom and then moving back in with your parents. Mm-hmm. But they're lovely. And I was super grateful to have them through that. But my brother has autism, and it's kind of hard, you know, doing a self-tape and having him like, rah, 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 like, you know, like full blast Sesame Street in the next room, or just like jumping up and down and being like, sister. I'm like, this house needs to be quiet because I need to get this tape done.
Yeah. What is it about a childhood home that is just, even if it's just your parents there, somehow it's chaos. Like, you move back in and somehow it's just crazy.
And it's even like, I need to get over that. I have been getting over that now, years later, just in my own house with my husband. Like, if I am workshopping my audition, like, I don't want him in there until I'm better, until I'm like good, or until I'm like ready for a reader. I'm like, no, like kind of like embarrassed. Like, I know what goes into this. I know I need to do a lot of things. Like, you can come in when I'm ready for you, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, for me at least, there's an element of that like shyness going through the process. Just, I mean, because I am a little bit of a perfectionist.
Well, I'm wondering, so you grew up down here, you grew up in Hollywood, and you went to school in Fullerton, right?
Cal State Fullerton. Oh, yeah. So my university is Cal State Fullerton. Yes.
So,
go Titans. Woo-hoo.
Woo, Titans.
Yeah, we were 8th in the nation for theater schools at the time. And I told my counselor that in high school. I was just like, I'm very close with my family. LA is a market that I want to stay in, and I just want to be close to home. I want to be a car ride away. And she's like, well, she's like, okay, here are the top 20 theater schools in the nation. This one's in Orange County. And I was like, oh, never heard of Fullerton before in my life, but it's close to Disneyland, so that's cool.
Do you feel like, since you didn't do, well, you were saying this with musical theater, and I had the same issue with musical theater of like the voice. I was like, dance and acting, sure.
Yeah.
But it's such a different beast from acting. But do you feel like it was even harder coming from an area where people start at like 8, 7, 6, 5, like hardcore acting, auditioning all the time, and then they'll still go to those programs.
Yeah.
Did you find that harder? Was that obvious in those programs, or did it feel like most other colleges?
So I spread a really wide net, and I really, really felt that. I mean, looking back on it, I was thinking about this yesterday. Looking back on it, I cringe thinking about my college auditions. Because I'm like, oh, I picked monologues that were 40-year-old men or women, or, you know, like, just like, not, I was like, this is a great monologue. Like, and it's, you know, and now, I mean,
your husband died in the war.
Like, I'm a 40-year-old widow. And it just doesn't make sense. And then, like,
you can't relate.
Right. It's just like, okay, you would never get called in for this. I mean, things are getting better, but like, this happened the same way in theater school as well. Like, you're training with these big juicy monologues, and they're usually not in your age range. So there's like a few great female monologues in Shakespeare. I mean, now I've learned that there's more, but you know, my world was so small when picking my material, and it definitely showed. And like, it's a part of my brain that I'm like, oh, I wish I could just forget that. And I tried out for many dance programs. And even though like I was captain of my dance team, like, but we mostly did jazz, and they wanted like ballet experience. And I was just going in there.
Damn, really?
Throwing on a number on my chest, being like, I am here. And then looking around and being like, oh, that's how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh,
she's on point. No, I don't have ballet shoes. I got jazz shoes.
You have jazz shoes, you have joggers.
But because I didn't, coming from high school, like not working, you know, not being in that realm, I was fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I love that you kept going with it. Because there's been a lot of times where I think there were programs or classes that I could have gone for, but I was like, oh, I've been out for a year. I'm rusty. You know, I think I've kind of like done the opposite with some of that stuff. So it's like cool that you were just like, well, I was on dance team in high school, probably get into this college dance program.
Let me try it.
Amazing.
No.
I love that.
But that's why Fullerton was such a good place for me, because it was a 2-year training program before it was called jurying. So every semester we jury to get into the BFA. So At the end of freshman year, we did scenes, and then people get selected to the next level. Halfway through sophomore year, we jury again. And at the end of sophomore year, we jury again. Mm-hmm. So I had time the first 2 years to cultivate my process to get really good. And I'm just a good student. Like I've always, taken things really seriously. And in those environments, people like that flourish. And so getting the opportunity instead of like you're in or you're out freshman year to having 2 years of training and then getting into the BFA my second year. I mean, that was, that program was just built perfectly for me. The way it was set up.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's not easy to find.
No, it was, perfect.
So fast forward, you have your BFA,
mm-hmm.
You're moved back in with your parents. Now you are auditioning for on-camera work.
Oh my
gosh.
How
is that transition between theater and really serious, intense acting training to, okay, here's a short film? A student short film.
Right. The script analysis work very much helped. Even for, short film stuff, student film stuff, where the writing sometimes is great, sometimes is not great, I was able to pull stuff from the text that I was told by the writers and directors that like, oh, other people didn't catch that. Or, mm-hmm. oh, wow, I've never read that line like that before, and that totally makes more sense with who this character is. Mm. And so I was told when I booked things, that's what set me apart. There was one time I booked this web series. I don't remember what the name is, so I'm just going to go with Justin Timberlake. But it was like, this person was like melting over this star, like, oh my God, Justin Timberlake. And they were like, you are the only person that put emotion on that name. Everyone else was like, oh my God, Justin Timberlake, I can't believe he's here. And I'm like, oh my God, Justin Timberlake, like panties wet. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, just finding those little moments where the character can come out and to actually... because I was taught to look at every line and be like, what is the character? Why is the character saying every single fucking line? Why is there, why is there the word what? Like that, why does she say that one word? Why doesn't she say more? Mm-hmm. Why, there's just so much. And so script analysis definitely helped me. I think learning what auditions to take and what auditions to not take, or what jobs to take and what jobs not to take, was a huge learning curve, because when you're just starting out from college, you're like, I want to build my resume. I want to meet everyone. I want to take everything. And it's like, well, no, I'm not going to drive out to Apple Valley for no money, no gas reimbursement. Also, shoddy cell service. And these people are strangers.
Yeah.
And I'm a woman by myself. Yep. Like, it's not going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
And I pride myself on being someone who's easy to work with. And I think there was like one time where I walked out, and it was a university. It was like a major university, and that has a good program, but it was undergrad. And so my biggest suggestion would be like, where it says master's thesis, apply for those. And people need to work with undergrads too. They need to learn, but just be prepared that things aren't going to be so professional. Like we were shooting in this, like these hills, or like, I don't even know. It was close to town. It wasn't out of town, but the sun was going down. I wasn't getting paid. We were out there for an hour, hiking and walking around, haven't even started shooting yet. The set wasn't even, they didn't know what they wanted. And I'm like, look, I'm so sorry. You told me, and I was checking in with them. I'm like, hey, it's 2:00. You said we'd be out by 4. Okay, cool. Okay, well, hey, it's 3:00. We haven't set up shop yet. Just checking in. Yeah, we're almost there. We'll get to it. And then 4:00 hit, and I'm like, hey, this is my out time. And they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to set up. We'll get started really soon. And I'm like, no, I'm so sorry.
Good.
This is my out time.
I'm so glad. It's frustrating, right? Because you want to be able to work around people, but there's certain situations where you're like, I have to value my own time. Mm-hmm. And I've been bumping up against that recently. And so it's just nice to hear other people, because there are so many people who are like, anything for camera time, anything for stage time, right? And it's not okay, because sometimes you get scammed. Sometimes, like,
and a lot of time with
just being screwed.
With these student projects, it helps because like they have to finish these projects to get a grade. Yeah. So it's going to be edited. It's going to be finished, hopefully. But are you always going to get that footage?
Mm-hmm.
Not always.
Mm-hmm.
It's like hounding them to be like, hey, can you send it to me? Hey, can you send it to me?
Let's switch gears here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When you are in the audition room and doing the audition process, what do different types of projects auditions look like? Are you always reading a monologue? What is a monologue? Are you always reading sides? What is that? Like, can you dive into that?
Oh my gosh.
I know that's a lot.
It's a lot because in college, like, you have to have an arsenal of monologues if you're in a theater program. And if you are going for theater and auditioning for theater, you need to have an arsenal of monologues. You need a dramatic 1 to 2 minute monologue. You need a comedic 1 to 2 minute monologue in contemporary theater. And then you need a 1 minute dramatic and comedic Shakespeare monologue, or heightened language. Doesn't have to be Shakespeare, but it has to be heightened. So then you're prepped in that regard. And then you take these, they're like, oh, do a monologue for us. But it could match the project. It could not match the project. So then it's like, how do I find a monologue for me in my wheelhouse, in my age range, in my type that fits a multitude of different projects, basically just shows off who I am. And picking monologues, or not picking, but finding monologues, if it wasn't Shakespeare, because I fucking love Shakespeare so much. I studied abroad at the Globe Theatre in London when I was in college, and it's just, if I could do Shakespeare for the rest of my life, I would. Finding monologues from like contemporary plays to me is fucking hard. Because again, I'm trained to be like, you can't just do a monologue. You have to read the play, and you have to read the play 3 times. And then you start to understand what the play is about.
Oh, interesting.
And then you get to understand the character, and then you get to pick your monologue. It's a lot of work, and it takes time. And unfortunately, the Sam French bookstore is closed in Hollywood, because I would just go in there and just like read a bunch of stuff and see like, oh, this kind of sticks, and then buy the play and then read the whole play and be like, oh, I don't know anymore, So it's hard to find, but once you find your monologues that are good for you, they work for a while until you get older and you mature a little bit, and then you got to find more, or you just start going to plays, and then you're like, oh, which is what I started doing. I joined a theater company right out of Hollywood. I joined the Road Theater Company in North Hollywood, because a lot of people from my BFA joined. And then I got to see a bunch of plays. I, crewed shows, and then I'm like, oh, that's a great monologue, and I've seen the play and I understand it. That's a great monologue. So that's a good way to find material, is to just go see it. And you're going to spend like $12 on a play anyway, so you might just as well spend $12 on seeing the show.
Yeah, Yeah, seriously.
But the biggest, I just got off on a tangent. But the biggest thing was, for TV and film, it's so different. Now I'm never doing monologues unless it's from the script. It is always scene work. Instead of coming with your own material, they are giving you sides. And sides are a piece, a couple pages or even 1 page of the script, where you memorize and learn and prep your part. And then a reader, either the casting director, the camera operator, or a set reader in the room, reads opposite you. So this is even more beneficial for a lot of people instead of a monologue, because you get to play off of someone a little bit more. And, sometimes, not all readers are equal. So sometimes they're looking down at the page, they never make eye contact, and they're just reading from the page. And sometimes they hire actors to read with you, and then it's great. And then you really get to play with someone. Regardless, you need to bring it. In all of my experience for professional union, TV and film acting auditions, it's been sides that were given to me that I've prepped 12 to 72 hours in advance and gone in there and read with a reader.
Once you've gotten through that audition process, what do you like more? Do you like monologues, or do you like scenes?
No. I like scenes.
Yeah. Scenes are fun. They're fun.
Yeah, and you really just feel like, for everything you need to do the prep work, but it just feels, it's a conversation. It's a conversation back and forth.
Right.
And monologues, you have to create a lot of that conversation on your own end. So to be like, okay, when I say this line, I'm trying to do this to them, or I'm trying to elicit this reaction, or what if I'm, there's just so many open-ended factors that you have to fill in. And with lines, I get to do script mining of my own character, but then someone else's character, which helps me inform myself about my character. It paints a full picture of the world in which this character is living in. And I do enjoy it more.
How do you memorize your lines?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
I know.
So,
there's a process.
Yeah, you saw my notebook laying out and you're like, what are these hieroglyphics? What is you're like, I just remember you being like, is this how you memorize stuff?
It's wild. It's cool. I've never seen it.
So it was, my acting teacher told me about it because an MFA student at my college, I need to look her up. Her first name's Keiko. So thank you, Keiko, for my process that I'm still using 10 years later. It really helped me learn monologues, and now I just use it for scene work too. So basically, you get your text and you write out the first letter of each word in capital letters. Everything's capital letters. So you only write the first letter of each word and the punctuation. The punctuation is very important. So you just, it's a whole page of just letters. And then it tricks your brain to working harder and remembering, because if the first line is, hey, what's up? And so that's HWU question mark. If I'm like, okay, H, hey, shoot, what are the next two words? I look W. What's up? Oh, that's what it is. Hey, what's up? So instead of forgetting the line, looking back to your text and seeing the full line out for you.
Interesting.
You look back at your notes and be like, okay, HWU. Hey, what's up? So.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Usually by the time I write that out once and go through it once, I'm memorized.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've never gotten like no one's ever gave me like a trick to memorizing lines, right? Aside from repetition. Aside from like, just keep saying it.
And say it with other people.
And you're like, all right, sounds good. But that's an amazing tool. Use it.
Woo.
Use it. I want to kind of go back to your character analysis really quick.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you start your character analysis? How do you do your breakdown for your audition? What's kind of your process there?
Okay. So I used to teach audition coaching. That was a side job. I was trained. I did sign an NDA, so I'm not allowed to like coach it, not being employed by them, but I'm allowed to talk about part of my process, and I will link in the show notes the person that I would go to for audition coaching who taught me this process. So basically, but it, starting from college and then carrying this through, you don't go through and start just, memorizing your own lines. I was always taught, you read the play or the script, you read it 3 times. You're going to find something different the first time than you do the third time. Then you can start to look at your lines. And, again, I'm such a huge Shakespeare buff, and punctuation is huge in Shakespeare. So that's something that I take into all writing that I go over. So I very much pay attention to the punctuation, because a dash, like you're cutting someone off, is very different than a ... And so when you're reading across from someone or in a scene with someone, those two differences are very, very different, huge.
Yeah.
You want to look for, a shift in the scene. Like, why is this scene important and why today? Why is this conversation happening today of all days? Even if it's something mundane, like talking about the dishes. Why am I bringing up to my partner, can you do the dishes today? Do I have something going on today? Is it a really busy day? Am I exhausted? Why am I exhausted? Am I pregnant and then I can't stand up, or I want to vomit and I haven't told him yet? Like, what could be going on where I'm asking for help today, or whatever the scenario is. But yeah, asking yourself, like, why today? Why is this important in the scene? Why is this important to this character? Looking at the other characters in the scene and your relationships with them. So yes, she's my mom, but what kind of mom is she? Is she a supportive mom? Is she a negligent mom? Is she just wrapped up in her own world and I don't really feel like I get focused? So crystallizing who the other people are in the scene and who am I to them? Am I the shitty friend?
Yeah.
And I'm a shitty friend because I'm not there for them. And how am I realizing it? Am I realizing it in the scene? Am I deflecting? But relationships are huge. So knowing, knowing your lines and, getting a sense of who your character is and bringing yourself to the character. But then also relationships really tell you who you are and who the other people in the scene are to you. And then that can help inform you, okay, like going from college, like what are my actions are?
Yeah.
What are my, like, I'm trying to convince you. I'm trying to guilt you. And in this scene, I am trying to, we call it objectives. Like, what is my objective for the whole scene? And then what is my, shout out to Maria Caminas, who taught me about objectives and actions. What is my objective for the overall scene? And then what am I doing with each line? What action am I performing with each line? Yeah, I just love all my teachers. Svetlana Efremova, shout out to you too. Evelyn Carroll Case, Ann James, I love you all.
Love you.
Love you so much. I think about you often.
You've created a great actor.
Oh,
thank you. For sure. Well, okay, so now that you've done that, you got the job, obviously. It's booked. What kind of acting roles are there on set? So specifically on set, because there's quite a few. And I think that can be really confusing to people of like the differences and how they're different.
Yeah.
And why.
So earlier in this season, in season 1, we talked with Janae Hoving about being a background actor.
Yeah.
And so a background actor helps, I would highly recommend going back and listening to episode 3. But a background actor helps, set the ambiance, okay? They are the nurses, the doctors, and their background actors don't have lines. So they are hired by a third-party company, not the casting director for that show, but a casting director for background actors specifically. Yeah, they set the ambiance. If you are walking down the street, they are, the people next to you walking their dogs or walking their kids, or, they are the kids in the classrooms with the series regular. So, but basically background actors don't have lines. A co-star, as soon as you get a line, you're a co-star. They used to be called under 5s, which is 5 lines and under. And my reps have told me, and I haven't heard or seen breakdowns for they're not called under 5s anymore. They're just co-stars. And this gets hairy, where we go from co-stars to guest stars. So co-stars, you have 1 line, or you can have multiple pages of dialogue. But basically, what's supposed to happen, to my knowledge, is if your character has an arc, so your character has a beginning, middle, and end, you should be billed as a guest star. So there could be co-stars where this barista has 20 lines in this episode, doesn't have an arc, but she's like in it constantly. And even though you're in a third of the show or a half of the show, you could still be billed as a co-star.
Ooh.
And that depends on your rep. So if you're just starting out, because there's a huge money difference.
Right.
It's like $1,200 versus like $4,500 or something.
Oh,
and I mean, these are like guesstimates. I only know, right now what I'm booking majority is co-stars. And so I know the pay scale for that very well, but I know guest star range totally depends on your name, your reps, how many are you a, guest star, recurring guest star, which means you're coming back. You could be a recurring co-star too. You could always be the main barista in Grey's Anatomy in the cafeteria, and you're coming back all the time. You really have to have reps that fight for you, and they're like, hey, she comes here, she goes through this journey, and then she's in 5 pages of dialogue. She needs to be moved to a guest star instead of being a co-star, and that just, that's the whole point of negotiating your contract.
Yeah.
Well, your reps negotiating your contract. And then so you have co-star, guest star, so you have an arc, and then series regular, and series regular is the main cast.
Yeah.
It is the Rachel, Phoebe, Monica, Joey, Chandler, Ross of Friends. Those are the series regulars. I mean, sometimes series regulars are not in every episode, but for the most part, they're the bulk of the season.
Right. And what's kind of like series regular average salary?
I know series regulars, and I know they make like $450,000 a year. Yeah.
Okay.
450,000, and it could be more.
So they're doing fine.
They're doing fine.
They're okay.
At that point, and even like if you're booking a lot of guest stars too, a lot of advice that I've gotten is you need a lawyer. Because with that much money, I mean, you could, you have $500,000 in income. You probably should be incorporated or have an LLC or S Corp or whatever.
Right.
And you should have a lawyer going over your contracts in addition to your agents and your managers. You should have a financial consultant, because you could be then out of work for 3 years, and then that money has to sustain you for 3 years. Or you make that money 1 year, because I think for SAG you have to make like 20,000 or more or something to qualify for health insurance. Don't quote me on that, but you have to make acting. You have to make a decent amount of money acting wise to qualify for health insurance, and you could be a series regular 1 year and qualify, or even just a really good guest star year, or co-star year.
Yeah.
And then the next year not qualify for health insurance. You know, and so not only do you have to save your money, you have to prep for taxes.
Right.
But it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
And so you know, having a financial advisor, you know, and having a lawyer on retainer isn't cheap. But these are things that I know we're just talking about starting out, but these are things that like coming down the pipeline, you're definitely going to need.
Right. Yeah. Because I think with each level, as you go, new things are exposed that you wouldn't have even thought of. Right. Yes. It's a tricky business.
There's another podcast. So there are 2 actor podcasts that I absolutely love. So it's Audrey Helps Actors and then One Broke Actress. Love both of those podcasts. And in Audrey Helps Actors, she uses this reference a lot where she says, you know, it's like a video game. Level 1, you can hit you're the top of level 1 and you're at the top of your game. And then you go to the next level and you're at the bottom again. And then you have to, and then you play and then you die and you're at the bottom of level 2 again. So it's, you know, it's every level you go up, you're like, yay, I'm at a new level. I did it. I made it. But there is a whole new learning curve, and there's a whole new set of challenges and ups and downs that were not in level 1 that are in level 5. So I think the common misconception is people get the series regular role or the lead in a film and they're like, I made it. Everything's great. Life is going to be easy. People are going to still knock on my door. And I believe you're always going to be auditioning in this life. I mean, in this career. I think for the Steve Jobs movie, Kate Winslet, they weren't considering her. And she's like, I'm going to self-tape. And I think she like put on a wig, or she did like, she was like not in the running or something. Go look it up. But this is my recollection of the interview. And she sent in the self-tape, and then she was considered, and then she booked the role. But she was like not, they're like, no, you're not the type. But she wanted it. And so it's like these people with these crazy resumes, with this crazy talent, are also told no. Yeah. Or are also told, like, I mean, how many, you know, even Daniel Radcliffe after Harry Potter was just like, I believe he was like, you know, people still see me as Harry Potter, but so it's kind of hard to branch out and do other things. And then eventually he did. But, you know, once you have that level of success, the work doesn't stop. Yeah. The work never stops. Yeah. 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 Hear that, kids?
With that, you know, there's a lot of success that can come with acting in this world, but there's a lot of finances. You kind of have to finance your acting career.
Oh gosh, yes, you
initially do. Yourself, and it shouldn't be too much, but there are things, and I just wanted to go over some of those things with you and what you think is necessary and what you think people should kind of steer away from.
Oh, wow. Yes. And this is 100% my opinion. This is not fact. Right. This is not do this and every other way is the wrong way. Absolutely not. This is, you know, just my advice thinking about this topic right now. Hopefully it helps. Totally my opinion. Actors access to me is a must. Yeah. It is where, you know, it's mainly the theatrical auditions, which is TV and film, but I have seen commercials and, you know, photo doubling and modeling on there as well. But
what is Actors Access?
Actors Access is the actors' side of any breakdowns that are available to actors get, you know, for the most part, get put up on there or these other sites that we'll go over. And you can self-submit to them if you pay a fee per submission or an annual fee. And Actors Access right now is the cheapest.
It is.
And it has the most legit work on it.
It's shocking because I have that and I have Casting Networks. Mm-hmm. And I go on Actors Access.
Casting Networks is almost 3 times the price.
Almost 3 times the price, and
doesn't have all the theatrical work on it. It's mostly commercial stuff.
It's a lot of commercial stuff, which isn't bad, but it's a different thing. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff I see on there, it's a lot of like background that I already get through other work, right? Yeah. I'm not looking for background when I'm on Central or when I'm on casting, right?
Yes.
Some people are, and that's fine, but there are other parties you can go through if you want to do background work, and you don't have to self-submit.
And that background work is like vetted through that agency.
Exactly.
Instead of it being like anybody can put up something on casting networks and say, oh, I'm hiring for a project here, come to my private studio and see how it goes. You know, I do have casting networks. I'm not knocking on them, but I'm just saying, like, if you can only afford one, Actors Access, and prices can change. I think it's like $70 right now for the whole year. Or you could pay like $1.50 to submit to each project. So it's definitely helpful to do it for the year. If this is your career, that is money that I would set aside. Also, you have to pay every time you upload a photo, and your agents or managers often want multiple. And Actors Access, it's $10 per photo, and Casting Networks, $25 per photo for the first one, and then $15 after that if you upload them at the same time. So it's like if I upload, I think your first one's free for all profiles, and then if you get a new agent, you get one free photo upload as well for all of these. But it's just, again, I'm not knocking on anything. I have all of these. I have Actors Access. I have Casting Networks. I have Casting Frontier. But, it's a lot of money. Casting Networks is like, I don't know, like $250 right now, and when I started out, it was $149. So it went up $100 in the last 10 years. Casting Frontier used to be like, I don't know, $79. Now it's more. I don't know. Maybe it's only gone up $20. But if you can only afford one, I would pay for Actors Access. Also because Actors Access is the side that we see, and then Breakdowns is the side that managers and agents see, and that's connected to your Actors Access profile as well. So of all of these profiles, your agents and managers have access to submit you to things that you don't see. So the co-star on Grey's Anatomy, I'm not going to see on Actors Access, but my agent manager see it on Breakdown services, and they submit me based on my profile. So like we both have joint use of my profile, and then they submit me for what they see, and I submit me for stuff that I see. The times where you see co-stars or guest stars that you're allowed to submit for are usually because they're looking for a special skill. Like they're looking for a double amputee who speaks Mandarin, or like something that's very unique or specialized, or someone who speaks sign language and I don't know, has like flaming red hair or something. I don't know. But like they're looking for something specific.
Right.
So in those instances, you'll see like, oh, I can submit to this if you have those skills.
Yeah.
But all the time when those come out, I don't usually have those skills.
Yeah. No, I've seen some weird stuff before.
Yeah.
They're like, if you have a split tongue, you know how people cut their tongues?
Oh.
Like for like vanity.
That's specific.
Cool. Very specific. Yeah, it's kind of gnarly.
You're like a middle-aged woman with a split tongue.
Right. And like
and
a
no
leg
hair.
sleeve and no hair.
Yeah.
We'll cast you. And
immediately.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden everyone's like, well, I could just do that.
I could
like,
just split my tongue for the day.
I got it.
No.
Don't worry.
No.
So what else is necessary? So we have the platforms to submit on.
You know what's kind of not as expensive? It's also affiliated with Actors Access. It's called Casting About. I believe it's $40. Don't quote me on these prices. They're ballparks from what I remember. So Casting About is, was set up. They by these. I did a workshop with them. So thank you so much for these individuals who set it up. Because the reason that I found out about this is because I heard them speak. I went to a seminar, and they pitched it to Actors Access. Actors Access picked it up, but it's a separate subscription hosted by them as well. And they're the list of all the casting directors. You click on their names and it tells you what they're currently working on. Is their show on hiatus? Is their show shooting? Is their show shooting in LA or Vancouver or Atlanta or wherever? So a lot of times, because we're going to get into talking about workshops and stuff, a lot of times when you see like, oh, this person's doing a workshop. This person, I want to see, I don't know who this casting director is. Let's see what they're working on. And then you look them up and all of their shows are on hiatus and they haven't worked in 2 years. And so it's like, oh, I'm not going to spend my money to go see them. Or, everyone, they're freelance just like us. And so I'm not saying don't go see them. If it's someone that like you really love their body of work, research them and see what shows they were on, see if they're in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But maybe they only do shows that are in Vancouver. And let's say you're not willing to go to Vancouver, or you don't have a valid passport. Like, why are you spending your money to go see someone outside your market when you're not able to shoot there?
Yeah.
Or same with Atlanta. You know, like, let's say they only shoot in Atlanta. Well, co-stars in Atlanta usually hire from Atlanta. Not always, but it's, you know, co-stars are like $1,200 and they're going to spend more than that to fly you out and put you up. They might as well just hire locally. I think it's very, very good from a research standpoint. If you are, you know, you should be watching your money and seeing where your money's going, and it just helps you make more informed decisions. Also, you can find addresses on there. They're not going to give you emails, but I think it tends to be a little bit more up to date than IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
I have IMDb also, but at Casting About, you can click on the person's name and you can make notes like, I met with this person on this day. You know, I sent them a postcard on this day.
Oh, so then, interesting.
Yeah, you
so
can
it's like your own spreadsheet.
Yes.
For reaching out to directors.
And then they have addresses on there, like, okay, not like their personal addresses, but like, here's the address to the show that they're currently working on. You could send them a postcard there. And, you know, sometimes I've had some things come back, especially with, you know, COVID and offices change and people work from home, and, you know, some things come back to me in the mail, but a lot of times they don't. And the addresses are accurate, and you could say, you know, pull all the addresses for people that I have notes for, and then they give you can print out an address list, and bada bing, bada boom.
What a great tool.
Yeah.
That's really great, because people will just willy-nilly, like,
I'm going to see anybody.
Here's a casting director over here. I'll just send you. And it's like, oh, they're not at all what you need.
Yeah, and then you get there. Let's say you only want to do drama, and you get there, and they're a commercial casting director.
Yeah.
Or they're a sitcom. You know, they're a multicam comedy.
Yeah.
And you have no comedy experience or training.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So for research purposes, I highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Casting About.
Anything else you need as an actor?
I mean, you need your SAG membership when you can get it.
SAG membership.
So it's really affordable, in my opinion. I know the startup fee is not. I think when I came in, it was like $3,000. I don't know if it's gone up to $5,000 now.
I think it's still $3,000.
Oh, that's good.
But
in the ballpark. And then after that, it's like $200 every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's money that you want to set aside. And they are so. I love my union. I'm a union person, but I love SAG. Yeah. I love SAG. They do free casting director workshops. You can do a free, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, if you RSVP and then you don't go, they're not going to let you RSVP for things for a couple months. After you miss 3, it's like you're banned for a little bit. So you always want to go, but they do in-person or virtual casting director workshops. They have voiceover labs that are free, where you can go in and learn how to, you know, work in a voiceover studio. They have free screenings with Q&As with the actors and directors and writers. And I mean, not only that, but they like fight for you in your contract and everything. I have been late on a SAG payment before, and it's just because it is every 6 months. So you kind of forget, like, oh, when is it due? I think I was like a month late once. And so you think, oh my God, the fees are going to rack up. I think it was like $1 late fee.
Oh, amazing.
Because they know that we're actors and they know that our work is up and down. And so for whatever reason, like, there are scholarships. There's something called, I don't know, what is it called? Like the Actors Shoe Foundation. There's like something with shoes. And so like they like actors, shoes for actors or something. Mm-hmm. And it's basically an actor created a fund because he remembers going to auditions and only having one pair of shoes, and he had a hole in his shoes. And so like, if you submit your receipt for shoes, they'll like reimburse you up to a certain amount, like 1 pair of shoes a year or something. It's like, there's some crazy nice stuff like that.
Aww.
Or like during the pandemic, we raised like so much money for actors who, you know, who were out of work and who struggled and needed help. And, you know, their side jobs, you know, restaurants were closed and people weren't making money in their side jobs either. And so, I mean, the union is not something to be scared of, especially when we'll talk about it. Obviously, when we shot our Producing Your Own Project one, we talked about it.
Yeah.
How, you know, as a producer, as an actor, like, don't feel scared to call the SAG office and be like, hey, I'm confused.
Right. Yeah.
I'm confused about my contract. I'm confused about, I want this to be a SAG project, but I'm not sure. I've booked non-union work because my agent sent me out on I don't take non-union work. So like one time I got there and they're like, oh, it's pending, but I don't think it's going to go through. And then I'm like, okay, if you want me, it needs to be union, but I will get on the phone and I will walk you through this. It's not that hard. It's not that expensive. You're paying me this already. We'll figure it out.
Right.
And then every single time I've done that, the project has gone union.
Yeah. It's really not as intimidating as it seems to make a project union.
Yeah.
And they are very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Another amazing thing about being a part of the SAG union is that you get discounts. You get discounts on really random shit. Like, I mean, again, this is all subject to change. I remember one was like Hertz car rental. Right now they say there's an AT&T. So like if you have an AT&T cell phone bill or cable or whatever, you can get a SAG there's SAG discounts on random stuff. There's SAG discounts on IMDb Pro, I believe. So whenever you buy a subscription to something, just ask. Or even every time I re-up my car insurance, I ask. I was like, you even SAG discounts now? And they're like, oh, no, not this time. But I mean, I always just ask.
But they know it's like a vet's discount.
Right.
That's so funny.
Yeah, there's different for like random stuff. So you just go on. And a lot of time, like I'm sure there's I don't know for sure, but there are things like, I don't know, museums and the Oscars or the Academy Museum and stuff. Right. I'm sure there was a SAG discount at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, just always check.
That's so cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So as an actor, you can have a lot of downtime in between jobs.
Yeah.
And that's fun. But how do you stay fresh? How do you stay quick? A part of the game.
Yes. This was huge and we touched upon it, I think in episode 1, when we were talking about our backstories, like in the pandemic when, I met Jessica because actors and directors networked and got together and did scene work over Zoom. And so doing stuff like that, I think the sooner you realize that this is, like we were saying before, this is a team sport, and we've said it in multiple episodes already. It's hard coming out of college because you come from such a competitive environment, at least in my experience. And then you get to LA and you're like, still like, I'm competing for jobs. And it's,
right.
And it's, I love the phrase, and I've heard it so many times from so many different people. And I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but it's like, what's made for you is for you, or something like that. Right. Like what's for you is for you.
Yeah.
So if you don't get that job wasn't for you. That was hers from the beginning, or that was his from the beginning, or theirs from the beginning. And the sooner you find your tribe, and the sooner you find your network and your friends, and you realize that this isn't a solo thing, and you can be happy for other people. So yeah, staying sharp with your friends, staying sharp with your tribe, and then also finding the class that works for you. This was hard for me because I'm very strict and hard on myself and on others. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best. I think I'm good, but like, I'm not trying to be not humble, but I think that, we already talked about not wasting your time, and, and your time is valuable. And I think that conversation is important when you pick a class too. I think you should be in a class where you get up and work every class. I personally found a perfect class for me because it melted scene work with on-camera work. Yeah, so I would personally, and I have chosen classes where we get up and we do the scene work, but it's formatted like an audition. So I'm reading with a reader, and they're shooting it on camera. And then during class, I've had it 2 ways. During class, we play it back, so we all watch each other. We all get to see each other. The teacher gives us notes, which is helpful because you're like, wow, in person, that really read. But on camera, in a close-up shot, that didn't read at all because I couldn't see her physicality. It wasn't enough, or in that close-up shot, it was too big. Like your, little facial mannerisms or tics or anything are too big in that close-up shot. And so knowing what your frame is, and it really helps with auditions, because auditions are 90% of the game?
Yeah.
If you hate auditions, we need to get you a process where you are okay with auditions, or you learn to like and love them.
Yeah.
Because auditions are our work. Our auditions are the main part of our job. And then we get to set, and then we get to do, the other 10%. So an audition prep class was really perfect for me. And again, we're going to link in the show notes. I have a person who I love who helped me build my process after college and build upon it. And she is still teaching, and she is wonderful. And she also has a wonderful comedy class. Those are the notes that I was going over with you.
Oh,
so
that's her.
Just like such a wealth of knowledge. She's a writer too, so she's fantastic with script analysis.
Mm-hmm.
She's in LA, but she does coach people virtually too. Anyways, Lilac, I'm going to link you in the show notes. Reasonable prices. This is totally dependent on you. I know there are classes out there that are $600 a month, and these people swear by this studio, and I just haven't done it because it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
And in my personal opinion, once, it's too much whether I can afford it or not. I just think it's a lot. And it's a lot of scene work and not necessarily on camera work. And I want on camera work. Mm-hmm. This is my medium. I'm coaching for TV and film, so I want to know what I look like on camera. And so I choose classes that do that. In my experience, they've ranged from like $200 to $300 a month. Mm. And to me, that's more affordable. Now, some months I choose to do a class or do that session of classes for a few months, and then I'll take a break and be like, okay, I'm spending $200 to $300 on an acting class. This month, I'm going to take that money and I'm going to put it into a casting director workshop. And so that's, I could do one for $50 here, and then I could do one for $20 here, and I could do one for, whatever. I think being able to budget and know where your money is going, and then being able to know how to write it off on your taxes, it's all very important.
Very important. What are some red flags from an acting class? Do you have any horror stories from LA acting classes?
I feel like I sounded like such a jerk. What was that, episode 1 or something, where I was just like, I said something in episode 1 that made me sound like pious, I think, but I really felt that way. So yeah. I said like, I don't want to sit in a class and watch trash. And have I gone up and been trash like in college before and not as prepared as I should have been? 100%. But I don't want to be in a class where people are willfully unprepared. Yeah. Willfully unprepared. So you going to the groundlings, those people are not willfully unprepared. Those people are going to be prepared. You're in there for an opportunity. You're going to show up. Mm-hmm. In a UCB 101 class, in a 101 class anywhere, who knows? You don't know. Improv is important. UCB is one of an amazing, amazing company as well. But just be prepared. Sometimes for these places, you need to get through 101 to get to 201. If you could test out, sometimes they let you audition out of intro classes. And if you have experience, I would try and test out of it. Yeah. Just to get you to a different level. So you're not going into a class where you are spending a majority of the class time watching people who don't know what they're doing. And that's fine. It's fine if you're green. It's not fine if you're not taking it serious for whatever reason, whether it's not devoting the time or being embarrassed or being shy. It's just like, just be prepared. Right. And I think 101s are great too, because you can see, you're going to get people who are like, I don't know if I want to act, or I have this full-time job and I'm bored. Like, you get people from all walks of life. And that's fine. But you get to see how the teacher or the school is run, and you can see if you like it, right? And you can see how they maneuver those situations. Exactly. To me, I like hard asses who are like, I'm sorry, like, your notes were this, but there were a lot of notes. You're going to sit down and you're going to workshop it, and you need to come better next week. Like, that to me isn't harsh. Yeah. That to me is, yes, thank you. You are valuing my time because this person didn't memorize their lines before they got to class, or didn't look at the script before they got to class. Yeah. And you also have to be careful with teachers. So there are amazing, amazing places in Los Angeles, a lot of great schools. Mm-hmm. We're going to do another episode about this, or yeah. But like, just know, sometimes it's a money grab. Sometimes it's just a person
with an ego and an opinion. And that's hard. So you just get to know people, like we were saying, and talk to people about what classes they like, what they feel are good.
Why did they like it? Why did they not like it?
Yeah, and you can audit too, which is so important. Like, go audit a class for a day and see if it's that. Because one of my teachers actually told me when he first moved to LA, he took a class and there was one class day that the teacher was publishing a book about like how to get the job acting, whatever. And the whole class, they were just trying to pick out which headshot would be the best for the cover of his fucking book.
Oh, I would have walked out.
And they're paying for the class.
I would have walked out.
They're paying to learn how to
ask
act.
for money back.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, luckily I think that kind of with like Yelp and like all that kind of stuff, it's a little less, at least I haven't encountered it too much, but it's out there.
I mean, yeah, go on, you know, I know some people are anti-social media, but if you go on social media, there are so many studios that have podcasts that you can listen to, that have reels up. Agents are not supposed to make you take a certain class. They're not allowed to get a cut. To my knowledge, it's like a conflict of interest. So an agent can't be like, you have to work at this school and then I'll sign you. Like that's kind of a red flag.
Yeah, you should never pay for your agent. You should never put any money forward. I think that's very basic, but it just depending on everybody's level.
Yeah, we're going to do an episode about reps too, but just like quick and dirty, your reps shouldn't make money until you make money.
Exactly. Yeah. What's one piece of advice? We got through all of this. We're going to do more episodes about more in depth about headshots, about representation, reels, all of that stuff, because there's a lot to dive in. But what's one piece of advice you'd like to give everyone about acting? Give young actors.
Okay, so I look fairly young. You know, I'm lucky with my genetics, I guess. But in college, my senior year, we had a prep class, like an industry prep class. And my teacher was very blunt. Shout out also to Mark Ramont and John Short that I forgot to mention. I didn't forget to mention you earlier, but they're, you know, part of my team who taught me in college too, and amazing. And so Mark Ramont told me, yeah, Monique, you're not gonna flourish until like you're in your 30s. Mm-hmm. It's just that you look young, you have a mature voice, and your look needs to catch up to, you know, your maturity. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's, you know, such a downer note. I'm so upset. And Mark Ramont, you were so right. I'm in my 30s now, and I still go, it's hard because I look like I could be on Riverdale, and I would love to be on Riverdale. Is Riverdale still shooting?
I have no idea. I watched one episode and I was like, wow, they're doing that, and never went back.
Love Riverdale. Like, my dream was like, I want to be on the CW. And I still do want to be on the CW.
It's so fun.
So fun. But you're looking for the first 10 seconds, and I really want to read this book, Blink, by Malcolm Gladwell, where it talks about, like, what energy you give off and everything. But the first 10 seconds, you walk into the room, and you already exude your essence without even knowing it. And so I get called in to play older teenagers a lot. And then I open my mouth, and they're like, even with my slate, they're like, oh, she's too mature.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit. And I went in for NCIS my first time, and I got a call back, and I was right out of college. So I was probably 21. And I was playing a 30-year-old, you know, mother who had lost her child or something like that. And I got a call back, and it was amazing. And because I had that, you know, like maturity, and then they put me in for chemistry reads with these guys who were like late 30s, 40s with salt and pepper hair. And it immediately, it's like, ooh, she's the too young trophy wife. And it's like, this doesn't match up.
Yeah.
So one of the things is you could do the job the best you can, and you're just not right for the role for whatever fucking reason. Mm-hmm. You could be the best in the room, and it's just, you know, and then this one's not for you, and that's okay. And that, you know, you're playing, I think we've said this before, you're playing the long game. If you don't mature, I mean, if your type doesn't catch up to you until your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. Yeah. You are playing the long game. You are in it to win it. You are here to cultivate relationships and network and be your best self. and just learn as much as you can in this life along the way. And I'm still learning that. And I still have to check myself of, where am I? Where do I want to be? Setting these big goals and then redirecting. But it's okay. It's the journey, and everything's okay.
Yay! It is the journey, and you're such a kick-ass actor.
Oh
you're
my God.
so talented that
you too.
It's
Seriously.
just
We build each other up, but for real reasons.
But for real reasons.
Yeah.
But it's just so nice having a friend who is so talented, who has so much knowledge, especially because I did not go to school for this. And just being able to pick your brain is like, it's such a blessing for me. Like, you're so generous with everything you know. And you're always like, I literally will be like, Monique, like I was saying earlier, I'll call you. I'm like, I don't know what this is. And you're like, okay, it's fine. And you're just like, boom, boom, boom. So I just value that so much. And I thank you. And thank you for telling everyone about this. And we'll be back soon with more acting content. So get ready for those episodes, because we'll dive deep into everything you need to be an actor. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Get Set podcast, an Old Girls Entertainment production. For all extra goodies, join our Patreon crew at patreon.com/oldgirlsentertainment, also linked down in the show notes. We'd love to hear from you throughout the season, so please email us at getsetpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps us out. Until next time, go get set.